Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah. And good day, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Five Friends on Mission.
But before we start today's episode, today is a special day because it is our 100th episode. Thank you so much, everyone, for all your love and support. We really appreciate it, especially on our journey of the office.
On this special day, we'll discuss about the Rashidun Caliphs or the Rashidun, which last week we talked about the hudud and qisas, right? Principles, applications, and also modern interpretations.
Wow, that's a great topic.
It is.
Yeah, I'm really interested.
Really? Didn't know that you were into that.
Yes, and I actually slept very well afterward. It happened on the last day of 2024, and for 2025, I got a new bucket list. Do you want to know what it is?
What's on your bucket list?
Yeah, I want to join Chalora.
There's something wrong with it.
I think you should be very for podcast. Say bye, Jinky.
Bye. Before we dive in, let's first introduce ourselves, especially for our new listener. I'm Alia. I'm Dara.
I'm Najib.
I'm Sadir.
And I'm Daniel.
And today, we're going to talk about the Rashidun Caliphs, so be ready to grab the popcorn. Let's fish. It's all about law and not history.
No, it's just my handsome face. If I'm not mistaken, there are 4 Caliphs, right?
No, it's Stan. Stan, right?
Yeah.
Kidding.
They all were sahabat of our Prophet Muhammad SAW.
Wow.
Right, so before we go further, let's cover the basics. So, who were these 4 prominent figures in our Islamic history?
Well, the Rashidun Caliphate began after the death of Prophet Muhammad in 632 and it lasted for almost 30 years and it's often called the Golden Age of Islam.
I see. So, who were these 4 caliphs?
Abu Bakr, the first Caliph, Umar al-Khattab, the second Caliph, Uthman Affan, the third Caliph, and the last one, Ali bin Abi Talib.
And what made this era very special?
Well, it marked the first Islamic government and the rapid expansion of all the Islamic empire. There also Islam spread across Persia, Syria, Iraq, Egypt, North Africa, and Armenia through treaties, diplomacy, and also battles. Also defeated 2 major empires. Who know that? Well, no, it is the Byzantine and the Sassanid Empire.
But it wasn't just about conquest, right?
No, it was about spreading Islamic principles, ensuring justice, and also to develop governments and law. Okay, so let's start with the first Caliph. That's your part, right?
Yes, it is the one. So, Abu Bakr Siddiq is the first Caliph, Rashidun Caliph, who was also a close companion to our Prophet Muhammad, and a man we know for his vital leadership. He only reigned for 2 years. 2 years only? Yeah, 2 years. Was like short amount of time of offering contributions to the Islamic communities.
Oh, 2 years only. If it was me, I would have taken around 10 years, I think.
I think it was written in 50. So one of his contributions that I'd like to highlight in our episode today is when he successfully fought against the false prophets. Tell me more about it. We have mentioned about how Islam has spread widely and was well known and embraced by the Arabs during the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, where this treaty is to spread Islam outside of Mecca and Medina.
But the Arabs at that time was merely Arabs on paper, right?
Yes.
Yeah, not so much different nowadays. I see my friend a lot like them, even though they're not Arab.
Are you like that?
No, I'm very Islamic person. I go to mosque every day.
Oh, every day.
Yeah, every day.
5 times a day.
Yes.
Okay, continuing with the story. Shortly after, the Prophet passed away. Yeah, this time many Muslims went into apostasy because the Prophet is dead, right? So who's going to continue the same cycle? And it's like the Islamic era has already ended for them. But we know that there's actually no end to the Islam itself. As we have the Quran and we have the Sunnah.
Yeah, correct. I think it's quite difficult because everyone was good back then.
That's right, that's right.
There was a story about this one person who really wanted to be a new prophet. His name was Usama bin Kazam. he claimed that he was a prophet way back when the prophet was alive. He actually sent letters to our prophets asking our prophet to follow his teachings.
That's funny, but it actually happened.
Yeah, it happens. And some of the Kazakh manpower gathered and increased in number when he married a woman who is also a false prophet named Sajah. So, upon the existence of these false prophets, the Abu Bakr as-Siddiq has formed an army to combat these false prophets. And the army has gained victory, and the false prophet Musailama is killed in the war.
That's right. I think this is easy leadership in confronting false prophets like Musailama. Even at the cost of sending his army into the battles, are the crucial decision to ever be made for the Muslim community after the death of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
What about his stance on zakat? I've heard that he was really strict about.
He was really strict about that. He think that it's actually inseparable from worshipping God, and when some tribes refused to pay zakat after the prophet's passing, he declared that it was non-negotiable. He even went to war, which we know as the Rida War, to enforce it, showing that it wasn't just a spiritual thing, but actually like something essential for our society and for the economy at large.
That was so
Can you do
interesting.
that, Jackie, in 2 years?
In 2 years, I already become the Prime Minister.
You should, Vicky.
You'll see one
You're
day.
not doing politics.
You'll see.
You'll see.
Okay, continue. Abu Bakr shot mainly in the ground for Islamic law and governors that will guide the future caliphs and the Muslim Ummah for generations.
That actually enhances the fact that Abu Bakr was a strict and also uncompromising when it comes to upholding the principles of Islam, right?
Yes, absolutely. But you guys also know who else was strict.
Yes.
Next, moving on to the next Caliph. This Caliph, Umar bin Al-Khattab, he was the second Caliph after Abu Bakr as-Siddiq.
Also, he was skilled in horse riding and keeping the horses.
Maybe after this, we all go to horse riding on the next episode of the podcast.
Broadcasting on a horse.
Yes.
I got a horse.
I have an experience in riding a horse, so I'm basically a master. So if you don't know how to ride a horse, I will teach you.
So you play polo, Cik?
Huh?
You play polo.
Oh no, I just ride the horse.
The podcast on the horse sounds good, right? Is it? And if I'm not wrong, horse riding is also one of the Prophet's hobbies.
Exactly. Sounds like you are very good at Islamic history. Maybe you should continue, Mbak Umar.
And I'm not good, you know.
Okay, guys. Back to Umar bin Al-Khattab. His contribution can be easily seen everywhere in this modern world.
What do you mean by this?
Churches.
Buildings, cars maybe.
No, something that you read every day. What is it?
Something I read.
Yeah.
Usually after the prayer, I will read Quran.
That's correct.
Yeah.
They are Al-Quran.
Yes,
Umar bin Al-Khattab suggested to compile Al-Quran into a book when a lot of memorizes there in the Mashahid after the battle of Yamama. So he suggested to the first Khalif, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, to compile the Quran and make it into a book.
Oh, so he's the one that suggested in preserving the book.
Yeah, his strong concern for the future of Islam led him to take a step.
I don't realize such importance that come from Umar. That's really forward thinking.
Absolutely, and another major contributions of Umar bin Al-Khattab is the introduction to Hijrah calendar.
The Islamic calendar.
Yes, Sayyidina Umar bin Al-Khattab implemented the calendar into the legal system. So, and he also introduced something to the public, for the public safety measures, by appointing officials to control streets and markets, and he built the navy for the Islamic state. And he is the first Caliph that introduced navy for Islamic governance back then.
Impressive. Do you not want to become a Navy?
No, that's why I continue my study to the law school.
Okay. Jackie,
I
you
know.
also know that Umar was a skilled wrestler.
Oh really? Like my neighbor coming in the university.
You live in Pakistan or Malaysia?
Hey, you're wrong. Khabib is from Russia. I actually have a bloodline from Russia, you know.
Okay, so he's your neighbor in Russia.
Yes, he is my best friend.
I see, I see. So yes, right. Wrestling has been part of the Muslim community since Umar's time. It shows the importance of physical strength alongside leadership.
That's inspiring. Umar also contributed to Islamic law.
Definitely, he also introduced the new legal principle to address evolving society needs, ensuring laws remain available while upholding Islamic teachings.
Can you give an example of this?
Sure, during a famine, he suspended the punishment of death because people were stealing out of necessity. This is a key example of ijtihad, where rulings are made in the new situation based on the reasoning.
It must have been a tough decision.
It was, but it showed that compassion and wisdom. Umar's use of ijtihad become model for future scholars.
So he really ensured that Islamic law could evolve with the time.
Exactly. He also protected the non-Muslim community under Muslim rule, ensuring their rights, property, and worship was safeguarded.
No, so basically the non-Muslim will be protected also. That was a huge step for the human right.
It was. He famously said, "When did you enslave people when their mother gave birth to them, free?" Showing his commitment to the justice of the people.
So basically, Umar Al-Khattab contribution is so many, and it was so far-reaching beyond our personality as a human, right?
Yeah, you're right. He was a visionary leader who balanced the tradition and modernity, and also leaving a lasting legacy in governance and also the justice for the people. So I think we should moving on to the next hadith.
Okay, sure. I think this will be my part, right?
Yes.
Okay, so before I begin, I want you guys to guess who is the next caliph. But I will give you a hint. So he is one of the richest men during the time.
If you want to talk about money, talk to me. But let's ask Jackie. He knows who's one of the richest men at that time.
Oh, if it comes to the money, I think I know about it. It is Usman bin Affan, right?
Yeah,
Right.
Marvelous, Vicky.
So I will tell you guys a bit of short introduction about him. So Uthman was called as Zul Nurain, or the possessor of two lights, because he married two of our Prophet Muhammad's daughter. The first one is Ruqayyah, and after she passed away, he got married with Kulsum.
It's such a huge honor, right? Marrying two daughters of the Prophet.
Yes, absolutely. He became caliph as such at the age of 17, and he ruled for about 12 years, making his era as the longest among all the other four caliphs.
That's like you mentioned it before. He was the richest caliph, right?
Correct. And one of Uthman's biggest contribution was actually his generosity. He was very wealthy, but despite that, he used all his money to support Islam. So to give an example about his generosity, he donated 550 camels and 1,000 dirham for an expedition to Byzantine near Palestine.
Wow, that's a massive amount.
I know. And he also bought a Roman spring for 20,000 dirham to make it a public endowment for Muslims.
Wow, so he wasn't just donating the money, but he also used the money to give benefits to the community for another long term, right? That sounds very inspirational.
Wish I could be like him.
I know. I want to use my money for the people also. But okay, moving on to the next contribution. I think this is the popular one since we hopefully read it every day.
What is it? Is it Al-Quran?
Yes, correct. So do you know that one of his major contributions is the standardizations of the Quran?
This is a big one.
During Uthman's time, Islam was spreading quite rapidly and many Muslims cannot speak Arabic. So this led to the different citations of our Quran. Moving on to the last one, here's another interesting point. Uthman was the first caliph to establish a separate courthouse.
Oh wait, so before that, the court was held in the mosque?
Exactly.
Oh, mosque. Sorry about my pronunciation.
It's okay.
It's okay, continue.
Yeah, this was a new knowledge for me.
It's fine. So, but yes, you're correct. During the time of our Prophet Muhammad, Abu Bakr, and Umar, the court session was held publicly and it was held in a mosque. But Uthman built a dedicated courthouse so that the court proceeding would be more organized.
That sounds like a big step forward in administration of justice, right?
Yeah, it's actually was. So, to sum it up about Uthman bin Affan, he was known for his wealth, generosity, the standardizations of Al-Quran and establishing a separate courthouse. So his contributions were vital for the growth of Islam.
And his actions still benefit us up until today.
Yes, absolutely. May Allah be pleased with them.
Okay, next we're gonna talk about one of the most significant figures in Islamic history. Do you know who it is?
I think it's gonna be Ali bin Abi Talib.
Oh,
So Ali bin Abi Talib is the only one
That's right.
left.
Ali bin Abi Talib, you may heard of him as Asadullah, which means the Lion of God.
Lion, right?
Lion King.
Right, Lion. What do you think this title is about?
I think because his courage in the battle and unwavering support to Prophet Muhammad SAW and that title.
Let me tell you, this title reflect his bravery and his strong character.
Interesting. Can you tell us some of his major contributions during his life?
Okay, one of his major contribution, Ali was known for his deep understanding of Al-Quran and Hadith. So, he played a significant role for interpreting Islamic law and establishing justice.
Right, he emphasized that fairness and known for his commitment to the social justice, and his decision often reflected a balance between the letter of law and also the spirit of justice, which set the precedent for the future and for the future of Islamic jurisprudence.
This is a great point. So how did his contribution impact our development of Islamic law?
Actually, Ali's approach to the law was quite innovative because he encouraged reasoning and independent judgment known as ijtihad. Yeah. So he believed in listening to the opinion of others, which helped him in making laws that were more representative of the people's needs.
That's fascinating, but up until now, we've been talking. So, do you really think that his legacy still influences Islamic law today?
Definitely his influence is still there. His principle of justice and equity remain foundational in Islamic jurisprudence. We can see many scholars still refer his teaching when discussing legal matters. His emphasis on moral integrity and ethical governance resonate with leaders even now.
Yeah, yes.
So the Rashidun Caliphs taught us many lessons and left behind qualities that we can adopt, right? Each Caliph contributed this uniquely to Islam's leadership and also legacy. Where Umar al-Khattab, for instance, he cared deeply for his people, ensuring that they had food and also shelter and holding himself to high standards of compassion.
Yes, he was known for walking the streets at night to check on his people, wasn't he?
Yes, exactly. He even carried food himself. He carried food himself to help others.
But that's inspiring. What about Abu Bakr as-Siddiq?
Abu Bakr was deeply devout and kept the Muslim community united after the Prophet Muhammad's passing. And his resilience actually strengthened the Muslim community at large.
He must have faced a lot of challenges.
He did, but his faith helped Islam grow. Where Uthman bin Affan, on the other hand, is remembered for his generosity and he spent his wealth for all the Muslim communities. Well, it's amazing how each of these kind had distinct strengths, right?
Absolutely. Collectively, they shaped Islamic civilization. They introduced governance based on merit and consultation, with Abu Bakr selection as Caliph setting a precedent for merit-based leadership.
That's a crucial principle for leadership.
Incredible how much they achieved in such a very, very short time.
Yeah, I think we should make all the rightly guided Caliphs as our role models. Even though I don't really enjoy history that much, learning about them keep me engaged.
Before this episode ends, we are being sponsored by Zeus Coffee, and you can use Zeus Coffee. You can use our discount code 5 friends on a mission to get 20% off on your first order. That's all. Thank you. And follow our socials. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And see you next Sunday.
Five friends on a mission.
Bye.